Peace to the family. I'm just trying to make sure, see what this thing looks like. All right. Let me see if I can hear myself. Hey, I can see myself. I can hear myself. Going to keep the chat on here so I'll be able to see the chat room as I talk on my phone. And just want to say thank you for joining me, as this will be a long share in reference to a big topic. So, in reference to just kind of passively watching something, that would be probably boring. I would first get off to say, because the conversation that we're going to have is very vast and very large. At the same time, all of these things that are supposedly vast and large are actually happening to us every day, all day. And then we're really interested in spirituality, spiritual things. However, we don't understand our hormones. We don't understand the power of Kundalini, nor do we understand our endocrine systems and then how they relate to spirituality. But to bring a mind to how powerful we are in studying hormones and studying the nervous system and in studying all of these particular bodily systems, what they simply do is help me personally tune in and tap in to a level of clarity on how powerful I am and we are. What I generally tap into is people not caring how powerful they are. There's a moralistic ground that they're looking for, and they're also looking for a financial ground. I don't care how moralistic you are within these conversations, nor am I referencing what a person thinks, nor am I referencing what a person feels, because thinking and feeling are hormonal expressions that don't do anything for anybody outside of you. Thinking and feeling are hormonal expressions that do not do anything for anybody except for you. So the point of this video is to share information. I've done another thing. The point of this video is to let you guys know that it is not Kyrie who's doing the talking today. In reference to putting this video together, which took place yesterday, I streamlined all of the information. I presented a presentation. This presentation is in the spirit of education, so please have a pen and pad if you're able to. However, this is perfect for listening if you're on the ride or driving. But then again, you may have to listen to this again if you really value or feel like this information is valid, because what it boils down to is how you live your life, how you feel, how you think. And these things, if rooted in stress, this is going to be the general block to spiritual activation. Majority of us, we are inundated with stress, okay? And because we are inundated with stress, we are looking for a narrative that will help us cope with our stress. I do not want you to continuously seek narratives. I want you to seek healing and understanding your body. So, in understanding these conversations and the things that I'm going to bring forward, you can apply these things in your everyday life and you don't have to buy anything. It's like you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to go outside of yourself. You just have to want to be healed, right? You have to have a desire to be healed. And so within your notes, you might want to journal how deep your desire is to be healed in reference to your stress and stress responses. Because if you had all of the money in the world, but then you were stressed because people wanted to take that money from you. You didn't have friends that liked you for you. You had friends that liked you for your money. What is the point of having all of the money in the world? So if you feel stressed because you don't have all of the money in the world, getting all of the money in the world will not remove that stress. There is nothing externally that you need to understand, uncover, buy, seek out, have an experience to get to a point where you're not stressed or you're not reacting to negative stress stimuli. And so this is the crux of the conversation, but in between you and stress, this is all of the little mini things that are happening in our bodies. So the conversation is going to be a very large and vast conversation. I do not know how long this video is. This video is going to be a challenge to me, to the listener. However, I'm really going to put forth the best effort to move Kyrie out of this conversation, and whoever is channeling this information, allow it to channel. And another thing that I would like to say is this is a deeper basis for Chakra Nova. This is the Kundalini aspect. If you got into the first chapter of Kundalini, but the first chapter, which is more centered into Kundalini, this would be a nice, dare I say, compendium to assist you in getting the desire to activate your chakras. Because if you do not have a desire to activate your chakras, then it is not as simply as is going to happen for you. Of course, you will get liars. Like, I can say anything. I can say Kundalini happened for me automatically. Can I tell you how to get that? No. So thus I'm lying. Even if I experienced it, if I cannot replicate or demonstrate in real time, then I don't know. And if I don't know, I shouldn't be validated on why it is so. An example would be a beautiful woman who doesn't know that she's beautiful, and she walks outside and gets all of this attention, and then she just comes home so confused. She thinks she doesn't know that she's beautiful, right? And this is how we are with our spiritual energy. We don't know how much spiritual energy that we have within us. Thus, we do not understand why the world is the way that it is, why people treat us the way that we treat, why the world treats us the way that we think they treat us, as opposed to how we treat ourselves. So this is a very personal conversation and a very deep conversation. So Grand Rising, hope everything is well. I really do apologize for all of the bullshit that be on YouTube and how it don't really help and assist you, and it's extremely entertaining. However, I want to bring forth some information. So we're going to get into Kundalini Explained one time for the one time. We start this conversation off in the autonomic system. So the first thing that we need to understand, the first thing that we need to write down, outside of moral obligations, outside of beauty standards, outside of how much muscles you got, at a pure primal autonomic nervous system standpoint, you are extremely powerful. You have sight, you have vision, you have movement, you have thought, you have expression, you have understanding, and all of these things make you powerful. But your nervous system operates on two levels. You have the parasympathetic level and you have a sympathetic level. So this is the meat and potatoes to Kundalini activation. If you do not understand this, it's going to be difficult to activate Kundalini because you are always on go. You are always on charge. I remember I was giving this young lady a hug. You know how you give a person a hug? You can feel their back. And it was probably the tightest back in the whole entire world. And I said, "Why are you so stressed?" She said, "How do you know I'm stressed? I'm smiling. I gave you positive words and positive energy. How did you know that I was stressed?" I said, "Because I felt your back." So I wasn't surprised of how the relationship ended out, because if a person doesn't relieve their stress, you're not able to perceive the reality of the situation. You can own your filter is your stress. So if you don't have a understanding of your parasympathetic and sympathetic system, you can listen to all the conscious niggas in the world. Are you stressed out? Yes, I'm stressed out. You need to work on that. Well, I listened to Phil Valentine's video. I listened to such and such video. I listened to Doodoo's video. And what about your stress? Huh? No, I was just watching YouTube videos is what I'm saying. I'm trying to tell you my spirituality is on fleek. How so? Because I've been really watching a lot of videos lately. Okay, what has the content creators been talking about? They just been talking about they just been talking about, trying to grow their platform. Okay. Well, what about you? What about your stress? I'm so confused on why you keep mentioning me, Hood. I don't care about myself. I'm watching your life. I'm living vicariously through you. And you're very spiritual, Hood Mystic. So I watch your videos. You're spiritual. Doesn't that make me spiritual too? Quite the contrary, my friend. It makes you not spiritual at all. You must do the work, and not as I did the work. You have to do the work specifically attuned to how your spirit has aligned you to do the work. But if you are stressed the hell out, it's going to be very, very difficult to understand the spiritual path. So, parasympathetic. What is the parasympathetic? This is just a rough overview. We're going to deep dive parasympathetic and sympathetic after this, but let's get a rough overview. Let us know what we're prepared for. So quite simply, and I want to hammer home these points rather. Sympathetic, parasympathetic, Kundalini. Stress, problem, issue. I really want to be spiritual, but I'm not going to deal with my shadow work. My shadow work is just, boyfriend, schmoyfriend, right? Get me to the spirituality. Hood, I smoke Newports and I have random sex, but I love your videos. Since I love your videos, my shadow shit, see, the closer people get to you, the more shadow that they have. Especially if you're sincere about doing the spiritual work. So when you do shadow work and you have conversations, you're not able to be taken advantage of as if you would feel people possibly bringing stress or possibly bringing negative energy. You'll be able to perceive it because you're not tapped in and tuned into the stress world. What is my talking about in regular terms? And if I'm getting too confusing, please let me know. From a regular sense, if you really want a boyfriend or you really want a girlfriend, what is that simply saying to your body and to your hormones? I'm stressed the fuck out. Why are you stressed out? Because of the narrative that I keep telling myself is exhausting me. It's not that you need a boyfriend. It's not that you need a girlfriend. It's that you need to change your narrative because your narrative is putting you in a position. I could tell myself all day, every day, I need $1 million. If I don't have $1 million, does that mean that I just sit here and just be stressed the fuck out? So essentially, when you step into the spiritual realms, you have to activate your parasympathetic energy. And this parasympathetic energy is rest and repair, is sleep. The best thing to do for a conscious individual is relax. Take a chill pill. What does this do? Instead of doing a protection spell, relaxing is your protection. Because essentially we have strength, but if we don't tune into our strength through our parasympathetic and understanding the hormones and the actual structure of the parasympathetic system within our bodies. I'm not talking about anything outside of your body this morning, family. For which, when you tune into this energy, you are now the warrior. And if you are the warrior, you're in a space of protecting yourself from being eaten. It's very cosmic or primordial or ancient. Very much of our lives, they say a third of our lives is spent sleeping, but we're not necessarily sleep more than we are resting, repairing, and protecting ourselves from the environment. because the environment is very harsh. If you do not sleep, do not go to sleep with the TV on. Like if you go to sleep with the TV on, you're still a child and you still need a fucking nightlight. Do not go to sleep with lights on in your room. And if you can't help it because you live in the city and there's lots of shit going on, earplugs, eye blindfolds. Mando Dando. Do not go to sleep with light pollution into your eyes because it's going to be hard to get into that deep REM sleep, which will enact the rest and repairing of your parasympathetic energy. So this parasympathetic is not our only system. We have a sympathetic system that has us release energy or has us eat or grow or do the things that bring about strength, bring about masculine energy. And these things aren't necessarily bad, but essentially, when it comes to sympathetic, our sympathetic system, 100% of us, not 99.9%, 100% of us are in sympathetic overdrive because we know only the sympathetic nervous system. We do not know the parasympathetic nervous system at all. In understanding this is never a point in time in your life where you'll say my parasympathetic and my sympathetic system isn't working. I'm in some whole other shit. I could do what I want. I'm in the super sympathetic system. No. It's a parasympathetic or a sympathetic. You're either in the space of rest and relaxation or you're in the space of eating, releasing energy, which creates a level of stress, but stress ain't bad. It's only a million times stress. You wake up to stress. You go to sleep to stress. You ain't got shit, so you stress. You got too much shit, so you stress. You wanted some shit, you got the shit, and the shit that you got stresses you out. So you need more shit. Sympathetic, 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 sympathetic. And the irony is, your ass ain't even sympathetic. You just tapped into an energy. So sympathetic, parasympathetic, and I'm just setting the table because this is the meat and potatoes of the conversation, and essentially it's hard to grasp. But a simple way to understand it is that both of these systems act in opposition to others, and they might operate at the same time, but you'll have more sympathetic or you'll have more parasympathetic at one time. So you're either chilled the fuck out or you're stressed the fuck out. Sometimes you could be working, like right now, I'm working on the computer, I'm talking, but I'm real chilled the hell out. Like I've been just chilling all day, but not chilling in a sense where I've been in my bed. I hit the gym this morning, did an Instagram video. Now I'm doing this video, looked over my notes, about to get off of this, and got some other projects that I'm going to do. I'm going to work on the newsletter. I'm really chilling, but I'm sympathetic in a space where I'm putting forth energy. However, my mindset, my energy is very chilled. So simply when you are in a space and you feel this chemically where you have to defend yourself, you are in the sympathetic nervous system. And defending yourself could be defending your belief, defending your thoughts, defending your feelings, anything that you feel like I need to let this person know how I feel, how I think. You are essentially activating your sympathetic nervous system. But in the process of growth, you can't defend yourself. And you can't rest and repair because attacking is not defending. Attacking is attacking. But sometimes we could all like if you were born in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, your whole disposition has been to be on the attack, to be on the go, to get it. And then even when it comes to spirituality, you don't really understand spirituality from the sense of just letting go. Like it's like spiritual, like the weirdest shit, right? Say if I'm meditating, at what point during the meditation do I stop and tell my cameraman, hey, take a picture of me while I'm meditating? Obviously, if I was meditating, can't nobody be around disturbing my meditation. Don't take no picture of me while I'm meditating because it's not a show. I'm literally trying to activate my parasympathetic nervous system. I'm trying to rest and repair my psyche. So a person like me who has endured a vast amount of trauma has also spent a vast amount of time of meditating. I tell this from 2012 to 2013, I did a whole year of meditating. And I don't suggest the person do this because I was literally homeless and broke. But the most important thing for me was to meditate, but I didn't know I was just addicted to meditating. Because I didn't have anything. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any clothes. I didn't have anything physical for which I could find value. Either I didn't know how, or I was just traumatized, whatever the case may be. But the only solution that I found was meditating. And I didn't know that I was activating my parasympathetic system, that I was resting and repairing and protecting myself as I began to move forward in my spiritual journey. So, in understanding how both systems act, they're very reactive. And generally, if your parasympathetic system is active, then you cannot essentially get into a space of full growth. And if you too chilled out, like you just meditate over meditation, then there is no actual way to grow either. Why? Because stress generally debilitates both systems. Doesn't really necessarily matter if you're talking about parasympathetic or sympathetic. You will not be able to meditate if you stress the fuck out. I'm going to repeat that because a lot of people will attempt to meditate in the space of being stressed or use meditation as a solution to shit when meditation is a beingness. It's an unconditionalness. It is a necessary component to activating your parasympathetic system and activating Kundalini. So understanding the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system is that if you are going to act, you need to understand that the act, it shouldn't be in reference to fear. It should be in reference to love making. But this love making is not towards another individual. It is the double helixal energy that is in the base of your spine that needs to be activated. And the sympathetic nervous system is useful for Kundalini. And we'll talk about things such as testosterone and things of that nature. The parasympathetic nervous system deals with myelination. Myelination is the preparation of the cells in the blood vessels and the spine and all of the neurons and all of the synapses and say, hey, sis, she not tripping on Jermaine's ass no more. She really tuned in and tapped into activating her spiritual energy. So the things that we were doing to psychologically prepare for Jermaine's bullshit, the cognitive dissonance, the cognitive bias, and the narratives that supported pure fuckery, but we were doing it every day because the narrative within our mind said, oh, Jermaine, he's a good guy. Jermaine fucking everybody in the city. So essentially, you dealing with that stress, and of course you're pretty, but internally, the narrative is destructive. So essentially, to get out of all of that, you have to separate from dealing with Jermaine's ass. Because you can't deal with Jermaine and find yourself. Because dealing with Jermaine is a psychological, traumatic experience chemically. What am I talking about? Arguing. You think that's normal? Do you think that is normal to argue with the person that you love so much? I love you so much. I love you, but I hate you. I can't stand you. Ah, I love him. Don't you think that that's traumatic internally? And then when we try to reference self-love, wouldn't self-love degrade to something toxic unto yourself? Isn't that scary? So let's understand some things. Before we get into the parasympathetic system, we will tap into the sympathetic system. And trust me, all of this information can be sourced from Chakra Nova. However, if you do not have a desire to source it, it's going to be hard to source it. So the point of this video is to incur the desire to develop Kundalini, not for me, but for your understanding. And then once we understand what Kundalini is versus what Kundalini isn't, then we can move towards it. The reason that people do not, as I go through this video, I want you to begin to understand that the reason that people do not discuss Kundalini, because it is very difficult to understand. And if it was just left up to my own mind, as many books and many talks have I had about it, I wouldn't be able to explain it. I need to tune in and tap into the energy of the great Imhotep to have this conversation for y'all. Because I would never be able to present information in this fashion if I did not channel. However, I'm proving to you guys that it's a channel based upon the information, as opposed to the channel in reference to some anecdotal bullshit. Exactly. You don't just deal with Jermaine. Jermaine has a fucking hijack on your parasympathetic and sympathetic system. If you're factoring somebody that disrupts you and disturbs you, obviously it would be moving to the point of separating from that energy so you can find yourself. Because when you tune into yourself, you shouldn't have a negative energy associated with that. But many people, unfortunately, hate being alone in reference to the lack of parasympathetic activation. To which, when they're alone, they still have the high energy, still want to do shit, can't relax. So, what is the sympathetic system? The sympathetic nervous system, one half of our autonomic nervous system, is our source for fight or flight mechanism. It is connected to the adrenal glands in the amygdala. Essentially, our sympathetic system is deeply rooted in our sacral chakra. Essentially, how we feel about ourselves from the parasympathetic system will be how we release energy to the environment. Some people plant flowers in their neighborhood. Some people sit in their fucking apartments all fucking day and complain as if they're not gods and they need to produce energy into the environment. But of course, you would never imagine yourself to be God. You would never imagine to put shit into the universe if you butt hurt over what Jermaine's dumbass been doing. See how it don't make sense? See how your emotions and your energy is tied up into some fuckery, and when it comes to true Kundalini activation, true bliss is going to be hard because the hormones, and I'll explain this, the hormones necessary for Kundalini activation are the same hormones that you're giving to your partner. So in chapter 1 of Chakra Nova, we get into Kundalini, how the Kundalini energy is valid. How do we know it's valid? Because it's located in our lower regions, right? But when we're having sex, it feels good to have sex, but never in the engagement, in the arrangement or exchange of sexual energy does it come across our mind, hey, we're making a baby. No, it just feels good to have sex. But essentially, when we get into a space where we have a whole child after a sexual thing, you don't want to constantly have sex and have children unless that's your bag. However, if you know you can have children, even if you don't know you can have children, you essentially take that same energy that is birthing children into the world and you release it unto yourself. And so what we have is a spiritual awakening and a spiritual rebirth, but not by accident, not just by watching a Panic video and then imagine, oh shit, he said some dope ass shit and now I'm activated. It don't necessarily work like that. It requires you to do the work. And the only reason I'm referencing it, because a long ass time ago, it was a video on Eileen Bay and Brother Panic used to do podcasts, and I was so fucking excited. Panic, he was like, he put out a video called "What is Kundalini?" And when I say he did not answer that question, the video was called "What is Kundalini?" But the whole time, I swear he never said nothing about what Kundalini was, and boy was I pissed off. I was like, man, I sat and listened to this 2-hour lecture and Brad did not say nothing about Kundalini. And that really stuck with me and I'm just sharing. However, We about to talk about it today. So, activating your sacral chakra. Essentially, we're talking about noradrenaline and norepinephrine. And man, you already know how these pronunciations gonna go. Just wanted to make sure y'all was with me one time. So, noradrenaline, norepinephrine, we're just going to read. Norepinephrine. I need Google Translate right now. Norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline, is important for mental focus. I need y'all to listen to this. Is important for mental focus, emotional stability. Norepinephrine functions as a neurotransmitter and hormone that regulates the fight or flight response and elevates blood pressure and heart rate and stimulates wakefulness and reduces digestive activity. Meaning that you ever just wake up and be on the go, it just be like, damn, it's 3 o'clock. I still ain't took a shit yet. That's why I wake up at least 2 to 3 hours earlier than the rest of the household and be more centered in myself. And then generally my digestive functions like I might sit and relax and meditate soon as I wake up, and then my digestive functions start to activate. I take care of my business, and then my day starts. If you wake up, you've had 8 hours of digestive energy that's been taking place. You have to release, right? But essentially, most people, especially if you woke up at your boyfriend's house and you just now getting to know him, you did not wake up, relax, and take a shit. Because you don't know him like that. But that's very unhealthy in reference to your parasympathetic and sympathetic systems and the hormones that are not able to freely express themselves because you imagine that digestive energy, because it's not trending on Instagram, is not important. I would go so far as to say that taking a shit is the most important thing that you will ever do in your day. And it's sad, it brings tears to my eyes that a lot of y'all beautiful people is full of shit. But I digress. That joke don't never get old. And if you're tired of me saying it, you about to be super tired, because I'm going to always say it. I'll be 70 years old. You know how old people just be having them same old corny ass jokes? That full of shit joke is going to be that one for me. So real quick, the rundown of noradrenaline and norepinephrine, norepinephrine. This is going to be tough, rough. We just now getting into the hormones, so you know it's about to get crazy. Noradrenaline stimulates heartbeat, raises blood pressure, dilates pupils, dilates the trachea and bronchi or the throat chakra, stimulates the production of glucose, and also inhibits immune system to save energy. Hold on real quick. So you're telling me that it is a hormone that can be released that will assist us in our immune system. However, if we're in a space of stress, that hormone don't release? Oh, we jumping down rabbit holes. Uh-oh. So you mean to say I don't need a... See, we getting so medical, but we ain't tapping into the bullshit today. I'm just making you think. I'm like Dan Calloway today. I'm just here to make you think. So noradrenaline, the stress hormone, one of the stress hormones, noradrenaline, or I'm going to just call it noradrenaline because the second word, too hard for me to pronounce. Norepinephrine. That still didn't work for me. Also inhibits immune system to save energy. So the noradrenaline says, my homeboy is stressed. My homegirl is stressed. But the noradrenaline is like, we need to be released so we could tune in and tap into our immune system. Do we generate energy towards our stress? or do we generate energy towards our health? But the news is telling us to be stressed out about our health. I'm so confused. I think because I'm confused and I'm stressed out, I'll put all of my energy towards that. But what about our immune system? I don't know. Why don't you relax? You ain't never relaxing. You always stress. You watching CNN with your grandma every Saturday. What you want me to do? Norepinephrine. Thank you, Shamika. Thank you. So we have a hypothalamus, crown chakra. We have the sacral chakra, the the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, all exist within your brain. The adrenal cortex, however, exists in your sacral chakra or sympathetic system. The stimulation of the simple oh my goodness. It's a lot of big ass words. So apologize for that in advance. Cause y'all know I'm at a third grade reading level, and y'all know I'm channeling. So channeling and big words, they don't really mesh. Next time I'm gonna have Spirit give me the ABC breakdown of this shit. But essentially, the stimulation of the sympathetic system prepares the body for an emergency. So, this system, the HPA axis, is why you are alive today, because your ancestors heard roar. They said, "Hey, get the kids. We about this bitch." You know what I'm saying? They started running through the forest. They're just like roar, and the goddamn bear, lion, damn Tyrannosaurus Rex came in the village, just started eating motherfuckers. But your ancestors had the HPA access on fleek. It was just like, you just heard a row, and then they got to like their safe point, and the wife was like, "Babe, how'd you know that a dinosaur, a saber tooth, and a woolly mammoth was coming to the village?" He gonna be like, "I don't know," right? Why is this? Because we are very powerful. That's the root of this conversation. Hey, give me a second, y'all. Somebody is calling me. My fault. I'm back. So, really quick, when you stimulate your sympathetic system, it could feel like an emergency, but the reality is that these systems are very archaic. They're very old, and they don't apply to the modern world, right? And ultimately, it's not to say that they don't apply to the modern world, because you can, like, niggas will come with the fofo in the 30 Glock and be on some bullshit, and you need to tap in and tune in like, oh shit, niggas is on you know how many times I've heard, "Man, I was about to go to the club and I just had this feeling, and I didn't go to the club and it ended up getting shot up." Ain't that amazing, hood? No, your HPA access was activated and you followed its prompts. This is how we're alive today. Meaning that if you didn't have an active HPA access, because you need to be prepared to act. The problem is if your whole life is spent upon acting and preparing for fighting a woolly mammoth, a saber-toothed tiger, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you are not like you come into a knife fight with a gun and we not really shooting today. It's not, I mean, we are, but we not. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that this is a very powerful aspect that will keep you alive, but you don't have to tune in. And it's not an emergency is an emergency at the end of the day. And it's a lot of black men and women that I know personally live on emergency status and don't even, like, I know dudes that carry Glocks, carry guns, and be like, in the, like, don't be no drama, no nothing going on, but they just feel like just in case. But not just in case, like, just no, they really on that shit. They like feel like a nigga will come through the door at any moment and they gotta be ready to up that thing and start shooting. And I'm just like, I understand if you went to war. I understand all of that. Like, I get it, but at the end of the day, I'm really tuned in and tapped in to understand that it ain't no emergency presently. Anything can happen. However, I'm not going to base my life on anything can happen. So very simply, and this is really tapped in and tuned in Chakra Nova, the book, the HPA axis is a term used to represent the interaction between the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, so your crown chakra, and your sacral chakra, and adrenal glands. It plays an important role in the stress response. So how do you respond to stress as opposed to doing the thing to remove stress entirely? However, if you have a modality in a way to respond to stress, then essentially you will know how to feel or how to respond or how to even simply activate your Kundalini if you have a desire to do so. So let's talk about the adrenal cortex. During the adrenaline-induced fight or flight response or during demanding activity, the blood and energy that is needed by the brain and muscles leaving digestive and eliminative functions until the times of rest and relaxation. The simplest way that I can explain that is when you kicking it with a girl on a vacation. Y'all got a week-long vacation. Y'all been hip to hip the whole vacation, and Shorty has not ever taken a shit. And you know she haven't taken a shit because you stayed up later than her, and you woke up before her. And y'all was in the fucking loft. She might have taken the piss a couple of times, but she haven't took a shit the whole week. That's an amazing thing to do in reference to how is that even possible? Well, when you take all of your hormones and have them into a stressful situation, because yeah, she likes you because you taking her on a vacation, but she don't know you. And after she has sex with you the first time, she didn't like the sex. So now she got to stay with you for a week and she got to make the most of it. And so since she don't like you, since she ain't comfortable with you, there's no way that she taking a shit. Now, she might not know that none of this is taking place. I'm just kind of the fly on the wall narrating y'all trip from Costa Rica last summer. But I'll keep going. The adrenal cortex, releasing adrenaline and things of that nature, regulate the body's metabolism, blood composition, and even body shape. So essentially, if you, like, I feel like working with Oshun, like when you do workings with Oshun, it like you do not need a big booty lift. Oshun, I seen Oshun make people titties bigger, ass fat, waist slimmer. What is this? What is happening here? I'll do you one better. Growing up in the 90s, the way that people are shaped, minus the BBLs, is like a reference to some weird phenomenon. Like you could see people's bodies and shit shift. Like even the dudes, like growing up, dudes wasn't just like this skinny, lanky shit that they are now today. For some reason, right? So essentially, the hormones that we have are shared and understood and adapted to now is a few skinny dudes in high school. Now the whole high school filled of skinny dudes. And it was a few fat asses in high school. Now it ain't nothing but fat asses in high school. Essentially, you're talking about hormones in reference to things that children are doing and experiencing and adapting and integrating, and then their whole hormones are doing the rest. So just to follow up and tap back in, what is norepinephrine? Norepinephrine, there we go, is also known as noradrenaline, and it is important for mental focus and emotional stability. In reference to the things that we are we doing the things that assist our mental focus or emotional stability? Because in reference to people watching this video, a majority of people won't make it this far into the video. Because they rather not focus, and they rather find something that makes them feel good. So people go from Instagram to YouTube to Facebook to Reddit to Tumblr, maybe watch something on Netflix, Disney Plus, this, that, third, seeking emotional stability. They want to feel stable in their emotions, and so the TV or television or your device is there for you. However, when your device gets you warmed up, nice and comfy, it begins to show you John Wick 1, John Wick 2, John Wick 3, John Wick 4. Hey, you want to play Call of Duty? How many people can you kill? So you playing Call of Duty, essentially you're in the realms of fight or flight, because your energy and your hormones are never differentiating John Wick killing people from your neighbor killing people outside the door. It imagines that you're in a fucking world, a zombie world, because you got Call of Duty with the zombie expansion pack. And these are the adrenaline and hormones and all of these things are producing within your body. And then, well, Hood, I don't play Call of Duty, but my son play Call of Duty all the time. You are raising a war veteran. I don't want him to go to war. Well, why you buy him Call of Duty then? He wanted it. Okay. Adrenaline, norepinephrine act as neurotransmitters when released by neurons, and as hormones when they are produced by the adrenal glands. So adrenaline has two functions. It could assist us if we're relaxed enough in emotional stability and mental focus, or if we're stressed out, it will have us beat up the bear or run away from the bear. What are we going to decide? Are we going to beat up the bear or run away from the bear? And if you're thinking, Hood, there is no bears around me, then why are you so fucking scared? I haven't seen any bears. Well, why are you so afraid? So I'm going to read this from seekingbalance.com. Because I imagine that a person will be like, well, what's the difference between a hormone and a neurotransmitter? I'll explain. The main difference between hormones and neurotransmitters is that hormones are produced in the endocrine glands. Hormones are a result of chakra work, positive hormones rather, and are released into the bloodstream where they find their targets of action at some distance from its origin, whereas neurotransmitters are released into the synaptic gap and by a terminal of stimulated presynaptic nerve cells transmitting a nerve signal to its neighboring postsynaptic nerve cell. That was confusing. Hormones know exactly what the fuck they're doing. A neurotransmitter can only go from one synapse to another synapse, and it has an information within, so it's like playing a telephone game. So it goes from one synapse to another synapse, and it's like, send me to the brain because my leg hurt, right? So it's like, send me to the brain because my leg hurt. Okay, send me cocaine because Shane is at work. You feel me? And it's like, by the time it gets to your brain, it's like, damn, I need some cocaine. And it's like, how did your leg hurt? Why you need cocaine? How did you? And you like, I don't know. I just need cocaine. Because your neurotransmitters play the telephone game. Your hormones are direct. So essentially, you have to understand the fact that you have to program your hormones to assist your neurotransmitters, because your neurotransmitters are going to play the telephone game, meaning that you're going to create a narrative. You're not going to say, I don't know about my adrenaline. You're just going to say, I don't need to learn about my adrenaline. You're not going to say, I don't, you're not going to say, I need to activate my chakras because I'm disconnected to source. You're going to say chakras are bullshit. I don't care about chakras. That's a neurotransmitter. A hormone is saying, I will research, I will study, I will figure this shit out because I have to. It is my desire to figure out me. Okay? And if you don't figure out yourself, what the fuck do you know? We teaching today. So the parasympathetic nervous system, the most important nervous system in my personal opinion, because it gets no attention, no love, no higher ashe, no vibration. We're going to talk about the parasympathetic system from the medulla oblongata down, and we're also going to talk about some of the hormones and energies that it presents itself with. So let's just tap back into what is the parasympathetic system. We talked about it earlier in the build, but we might have some new people in the conversation. So the sympathetic system prepares the body for intense physical activity, fight or flight. Do I want to beat up the bear or run away from the bear? But the reality is that there are no bears unless there are bears. So you want to be prepared for bears by leaving your sympathetic nervous system alone. What generally happens is that we exhaust our sympathetic nervous system energies on Jermaine's bitch ass. You know Jermaine, the dude that been cheating on you, ain't been doing you right, so you don't know if you want to fuck Jermaine up or you want to leave him. Sound familiar? The parasympathetic nervous system relaxes the body and inhibits or slows many high energy functions. So in a space of being rested and relaxed, we're able to take shits. And so what's the most important aspect of the parasympathetic nervous system? Digestive functions. Why is that the most important function? Because when we are clear, we are able to channel the energy of God. We need to be empty vessels because higher consciousness supersedes lower consciousness. Let's just say that. So essentially, let's get back to the parasympathetic nervous system. It is the rest and protection side of the autonomic nervous system. And we're referencing the autonomic nervous system to understand how powerful we are without even having to understand how powerful we are. What I'm referencing is shit that just is going to happen whether you watch this video or not. I'm just bringing a mind to it. You're going to go to sleep, rest, and protect yourself, but now you might have a specific desire to sleep well, as opposed to just going to fucking sleep. Essentially, you go to sleep because you're tired, meaning that you're exhausted, meaning that you need to be replenished or refueled so you can continue on. Essentially, sleep must be awesome. If you don't feel like doing shit and then go into this process for 4 to 8 hours and wake up, now you feel like doing shit again. That has to be amazing, but are you honoring your sleep? Are you honoring your relaxation? Because essentially, if you were honoring your relaxation and your sleep, you're honoring your growth and repair. What does the parasympathetic system do, hood? It conserves energy and keeps it just in case we see a big ass bear. If I conserved energy, I'll be able to be like, square up then. Square up. Square up. You know what I'm saying? People like, damn, you can't fight. What type of handstand is that? It includes the endocrine glands, parts of the hypothalamus. It is the non-dominant, holistic, and spiritual mind which is connected to the parasympathetic system. I'll say it again. Your non-dominant, holistic, and spiritual mind is connected to the parasympathetic system. But if you want to fight Jermaine, if you want to fight Charmaine, you'll never tap into it because you'll hear it all the time. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but catch these hands. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but catch these pennies. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but catch this negative emotion and energy. Because your dominant mind is on trash. It's trying to fight a bear, trying to run from a bear. It don't know what it want to do. Body slam the bear, DDT. It's like, let's get in the WWE and let's set up a match. Me and the bear, right? And it's like, why do you want to fight this bear all the time? Because it doesn't know that it has a separate mind that it can tune into that is found through relaxation. But if you do not have a desire to relax, because you have a desire to make money, you have a desire to bump uglies with somebody, essentially you do not have a desire to raise Kundalini. So when the sympathetic systems are in the fight or flight system, the parasympathetic system is shut down, essentially. But once you beat the tiger up, slam the bear, DDT the woolly mammoth, they all laid out like, damn, this nigga strong. I ain't even know, right? You looking around at the animals, you feeling strong about it. Your parasympathetic system begins, because you ain't know, the lion ripped a part of your arm off, the woolly mammoth, you got a chunk of it in the side of your, the tusk, you got a side of it in the side of your ass, you got all of this shit going on with you. You ain't felt none of that. You just said, I'm about to protect these damn kids. So once it's all said and done, you like, damn, I'm all hurt, I'm in pain, let me sleep on it. Go to sleep, wake up, you feel a little better. Still hurt a little bit, go to sleep, wake up, feel a little better. I'll go so far as to say you've had pain before. What was the actual modality that healed that pain that you once had in previous energies? The sleep. So essentially, that is a hormonal process called the parasympathetic system taking over. So what does this look like in our body? It is the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve starts at the medulla oblongata. One goes to the heart. So it is the vagus nerve starts at the medulla oblongata. Then it splits into two. One of the nerves goes to the heart, and the other nerves goes to the kidneys, the liver, the intestines. But essentially, it is tuned in and tapped in, and it will activate once you get off your bullshit. The vagus nerves originate in the medulla oblongata, and we'll talk about this, and it goes to the heart and respiratory system, as well as the root chakra. If you want to understand the root chakra, I'm not afraid to say it. You need to get Chakra Nova and have a desire to understand your root chakra. So the vagus nerve is producing the major neurotransmitter. Here we go, y'all. Acetylcholine, or ACH for short. So it's releasing this neurotransmitter ACH, and what is it doing? It's causing your heartbeat to slow. It's lowering your blood pressure. It's constricting your pupils. It's changing your lens for near vision because you don't got to be alert for a goddamn tiger or a bear or Jermaine cheating ass. I seen you cheating over there, Jermaine. How many times have you heard a woman say, I'm a detective? I should be a detective. No, you need to rest your you need to rest your sympathetic nervous system, sis. You doing the most. If Jermaine want to cheat, then let him cheat or don't be with him. Whatever he doing, make sure it don't affect how you feel about your life, because now he got your heartbeat racing, and Jermaine ass is skinny. He is not a woolly mammoth, nor is he a lion, nor is he a tiger, nor is he a bear. So you don't need to be afraid of no sticks and bones energy. You actually need to understand these things and use them for your spiritual health and your spiritual understanding. So, ACH for short, which is the main neurotransmitter, because it's a long nerve, a huge nerve that exists in your heart, and it exists in your root chakra and all of your plexuses, and it's sending out, because we said neurotransmitters, they move like ladders. Hormones move like goddamn, I don't even know. They move like goddamn mosquito. They just know what the hell they about to do, where they about to go. That's a nice ass. Let me bite it. Take all the blood out of it. So hormones know what they need to do. Neurotransmitters are very much at the whim of your understanding. So they increase blood flow to the skin, because another thing that happens when your sympathetic nervous system is activated is that no blood goes to the skin. So have you ever seen somebody looking crazy and then they be like, no, I ain't been stressed out, shit been going well, and then you kick it with them for a year, like a couple days of shit, then they start telling you, man, I'm smoking meth. You like, what? I knew you was smoking meth. I could see it in your skin. I could see it in your eyes. Your shit was yellow, sis. I'm happy you told me. But let's go to this recovery program, because goddamn, why does a person who is stressed out look wrinkly and out of touch with reality? Because no blood is going to the skin. Why does a person that's relaxed and rejuvenated look relaxed and rejuvenated? Because the parasympathetic system is allowing blood to get to the skin. Now you got fresh face popping, covered, maybe it's Maybelline, cover girl, all of that shit, no makeup. You just need to relax. Skin would be popping. I'll do you one better. Have you ever been stressed out and got acne? Why do you have acne? Because obviously you're not getting the nutrients and blood and hormones that would keep your skin vibrant. So essentially, the parasympathetic nervous system starts at the medulla oblongata and works its way down to the lower lumbar region of the spine. From a spiritual understanding, we call these things chakras. But plexuses are complex webs of nerves, ganglia that affect the internal organs, particularly by controlling the arterial blood flow, hence oxygen and nutrient supply. So back to this original conversation. If your parasympathetic nervous system, i.e., your vagus nerve, is relaxed, that means it's wider. So when it needs to send neurotransmitters, because neurotransmitters, they need a lot of support, because you could take leg pain and feel like you need cocaine. And it's like, that's not hormonal, that's neurotransmitter. Transmitteral. I think I'm making up a word. I'm allowed to make up words. But essentially, you have this wide tube called the vagus nerve that hits every single chakra from the medulla down to the lumbar region. So everything within our experience is connected. You can't imagine that fucking with Jermaine is going to move you past not fucking with Jermaine. Jermaine asks, do the most. Checking the chat, see everything is copacetic. All right. So the plexuses, like I said earlier, align with the chakra system. In reference to the plexuses, you might have heard it by the solar plexus, which is the largest in the body. The solar plexus produces adrenaline, which is the energy that allows us to fight the tiger. In reference to it ain't no tiger, it then turns into a hormone. So adrenaline doesn't have to always, it doesn't have to be to fight a tiger. You can use your adrenaline for what? Mental focus and emotional stability. However, we tend to use our adrenaline in responses to stress, which create more stress. And please believe I didn't take all of these notes not to bring it home. So thank y'all for sticking with me. Essentially, what we're attempting to do is raise Kundalini. And when we raise Kundalini, could be felt as bliss, a tingle, or heat moving through these various plexes, or a combination of three. But essentially, you are doing the work by relaxing, grounding, and then doing the Kundalini yoga to bring about a different hormonal response to stress. Kundalini is never fully activated more than it is in the space of being activated. Meaning that we're alive, so we're in the process of raising Kundalini. If you're alive, you're raising Kundalini. If you're alive, you're doing chakra work. If you're alive, you're doing shadow work. If you're alive, you're in the realms of law of attraction. There is not, and all of these things that I reference are autonomic, meaning that they happen whether we tune in or tap into it or not. You're going to produce adrenaline, whether, doesn't matter. As long as you're alive, you're producing these hormones. You're producing these neurotransmitters. So now we're going to talk about the plexus or the chakra system from a parasympathetic point of view. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the medulla oblongata, which is, if you a 90s baby or an 80s baby, the first time you heard medulla oblongata was watching The Water Boy. And the medulla oblongata is what pissed him off. It got him fired up and allowed him to become the water boy as a professional football player, meaning when his medulla oblongata was activated, he was able to transform and tap into another side of him that he didn't know existed, i.e. your spiritual selves. So what is the medulla oblongata from a technical point of view? The medulla oblongata controls autonomic functions and connects to the higher levels of the brain to the spinal cord. It is also responsible for regulating several basic functions of the autonomic nervous system, including respiration, chemoreceptors, cardiac center, the sympathetic system, the parasympathetic system, the vasomotor center, the baroreceptors, the baronecessities, the reflex centers of vomiting, coughing, sneezing, and swallowing, meaning all of these things that happen, whether we need to throw up, whether we need to cough, whether we need to sneeze, is autonomic. And the scary part about it is if we are stressed, we might not do none of this shit. Essentially, we can shut our own body down by Jermaine being a fuck nigga. Okay? And we should never let Jermaine stop our ability to tap into our baroreceptors and our bare necessities. Jermaine has officially created too much power over your being, sis. Who gives a fuck? So, the locus circuleus. The locus circuleus, and this would be a good drinking game in reference to me saying these scientific terms and how many times I fuck up. If I fuck up on a scientific term, I know it's early, but it's definitely brunch season, right? It's definitely brunch time. Take a sip of a mimosa if I fuck up on a scientific term in reference to learning and staying engaged and activated within this information, because in reference to watching this video, I'm just laying it out. So this is the first time. The second time you watch this video, it's going to sound completely different. Why? Because I'm presenting new information. And as human being adults, we should focus and fixate on new information. The irony is that we focus and fixate on our confirmation biases. I like this person. I think this person is spiritual. He thinks that this person is spiritual too. This person must be spiritual, in reference to the fact that they sitting there eating Cheetos on porn websites. Wouldn't know spiritual from a goddamn coaster. But our perception of these particular things is merely a shadow projection. If you ever talked to me before, if you ever got a reading to me before, I've said that generally people who tune in to me have some aspect of what they think that I do that has nothing to do with me, but has everything to do with them. Okay? So, what is the locus coeruleus, or where we produce neuromelanin? It is an alarm center which helps attentiveness and governs arousal, fear, anxiety, and terror. This is very important because our people live under perpetual arousal, porn, Megan Thee Stallion, Normani, Tiana Taylor, Lil Nas X. We can never have a regular motherfucker on YouTube or TV. Everybody gotta particularly produce arousal and or fear, COVID, Black Lives Matter, evictions, white supremacy, oppression, anxiety because the relationship not working out, terror because the Proud Boys and these white militias and the government and Biden dropping missiles everywhere, dropping missiles and all of this particular doom and gloom. Meanwhile, you've been sitting in your fucking room on your device. None of the shit that actually you thought happened really happened, but if you program it within your locus coeruleus, shot, now your brain cannot differentiate between, I don't really want to have sex with Rihanna. I'm not really afraid of nothing. I'm not really anxious of the future. I'm not really terrified. However, most people truly feel these things. Truly, truly feel them because the neuromelanin makes what is not real, real. In reference to why am I having this conversation, to maybe one melanated young person is listening to this and not going to digest the goddamn phone as much as their friends and family. They're going to take the time to walk their ass out to a park, into nature, cut the fucking phone off, leave the phone in the car, and get to know themselves. Fucking relax. Activate your neuromelanin. Stop trying to keep up with shit that ain't even keeping up with shit. Right? Maybe. So, I'm just going to say this because I know that my brothers and sisters are powerful, but we do not have the conversations that talk about our power. So where do we find our power at? Locus coeruleus. Shot. However, a growing numbers of studies have taken advantage of the fact that unlike most other structures in the brainstem, the locus coeruleus contains neuromelanin. By this time, you're drunk and you're feeling good, and now the information is easier to tap into. Give me a second. And peace to everybody who's joined and is enjoying this share. I never say this, but if you got the time and energy, go and do me a favor, like the video, share it, subscribe if you didn't already. It all helps with the algorithms. And generally, I'm just taking this time in my morning to share some valuable, valid information. And if you want to support me by supporting yourself, get Chakra Nova available in the links in the description. But don't get Chakra Nova if you do not want to activate if you do not have a desire to get in tune with yourself. You might have a deeper desire to get Jermaine to start acting right, and you might feel that by activating your chakras will help Jermaine activate his chakras. Please don't get my book trying to convince other people before you've convinced yourself, because you will make me look stupid. If you look stupid, I want you to get a full understanding. Stop trying to get Jermaine chakras activated and shit. Leave Jermaine ass alone. I don't know how many times I'm gonna keep telling you. So opiate receptors and opiate producers. So the thing about it, it gets deeper. This rabbit hole gets super, super deeper. The thing about the parasympathetic nervous system, the thing about the vagus nerves, the thing about the medulla oblongata, the thing about neuromelanin is that they are opiate receptors and opiate producers. So, very simply, our children, our teenage children from 16 to 26 are fucking addicted to Percocets. Did you know that? Why are they addicted to Percocets? Because they live in constant fear and they live in constant stress because their parents don't know shit. And their parents, because they are their parents, have to know shit. But unless you sit down and force yourself to learn new information on how to become a better parent, how to become a better lover, a better partner, a better child, a better student, if you're not putting in the effort to become a better person, you are left to your own devices. Where the fuck is the lion at? Where is the tiger? I know it's a lion or tiger somewhere. It's in my DNA. Essentially, you have thousands of years of us fighting animals, and the animals was the white man. But then once we mastered the animal, we still, because we spent so many years fighting these animals, that we created the animal in a human being, which could be our friend, brother, sister, lover, or Jermaine's bitch ass. But the reality is that none of these things external to us was going to be our opioid receptor or our opioid producer. It was going to take us to tune in and tap into our parasympathetic nervous system and develop our own inner energy that begins to heal ourselves. Our children have been brainwashed into thinking that a beautiful woman, a nice house, some rims, some chains, these niggas will be on IG with 20 chains on they, like, do you feel better now? Because I know one chain wasn't going to make you feel good. You might have had to shoot up the club if you had on one chain. You had to have on 20. It's shit that's happening in New York where these dudes be in Bentleys and Phantoms and shit. And there'd be a dude walking down the street with some goddamn Gucci flip-flops on. They will hop out the Bentley, pull a gun on dude, and tell him, let me get them flip-flops off you, fam. You can see it on Instagram, YouTube right now. They robbing people. The mentality that society has produced has really created savages. And just because you can dance to it on TikTok, do not make it a problem in referencing to a serious issue that is happening. But where is the root of this issue? What is the root of this issue? It is the lack of understanding your opioid creators and your opioid receptors. So now you got to take a perk 10. You take a perk 10, you cool. You cool for a while. But then a perk 10 don't start to hit the same, especially if you lose some money and you don't got as much clout as you used to have. Now these perk 10s turn into perk 30s. Perk 30s are generally 15 at the low end, 50 at the high end, a pill. And to get high, some people need 2 to 3 perk 30s. And so you might do the math and you say, that's $60 to get high. Sometimes people don't want to spend $60 to get high. So instead of getting the Percocet, they will just say, just give me the heroin. The heroin is $10 to $20 for the $60 variety. And although it's dirty, a person is in so much pain that it does not matter. What they would say, I'll never inject heroin, they will, if they don't address that pain. So don't say what you would never do if you don't deal with your pain. Because a lot of times we say what we would never do and end up doing it because we haven't addressed our pain. So another experiment in reference to opiates and opiates' power or opiates' lack of power. So you might be a person that exists in the world that would never do opiates, have no desire to do opiates and nothing like that. However, there are people that do it. So what makes a person able to, like, these whole generation of kids want to do perk 10s, and in your generation nobody would do heroin, Percocets, or none of that type of shit. Oxycontin was the worst that they'd do, and they'd be like, we ain't doing that shit. We don't like the way it makes us feel. Well, from 2001 was the Twin Towers, right? And then there was the Iraq War, which was major proxy, weapons of mass destruction. And then there was the Afghan War. I'm going to make this make sense. America then went, they fucked up in Iraq, but then resorted all of their resources to Afghan to control the poppy fields. And from 2003 until now, because they're just now leaving Afghanistan this year, they've had control over the Afghanistan poppy fields. So I can talk to somebody who was born, let's just say in 1996 or 2000 and 2002 and shit like that. So, and they be grown as hell, and I'd be like, how old is you, 10? Like, I'm 30. I'm like, how the hell is you 30? But anyway, how was you born in the 90s and 30 years old? It just don't make sense to me. But I digress. They have a whole generation that has been specifically bred to be in pain. I dare you to delete your little sister's Instagram right now. I dare you to take her phone and disable her TikTok right now. I dare you to delete her damn Snapchat right now. She will beat your ass. The little girl, 15 years old. And you could be a world's bodybuilder. You delete her goddamn social media applications, she like, nigga, square up. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care if you just got out. We gonna work today. And if I take a loss, I take a loss. But we about to square up. The validation is in technical devices. So when you talk about real live biochemical chemistry, energies, and things of that nature, a person needs to take opiates to survive. Need to take Percocets to just simply exist because the pain is so deep. It's an experiment of 2 mice. You can look this up. Experiment about mice and opiates. Yeah, here we go. Rat Park experiment. So it was 2 mice essentially. One mouse lived in the rat park. He had rat balls, he had rat girls, he had rat strippers, he had a rat apartment, he had a rat car, he had rat kids, his kids was good. He had a general wonderful time living in Rat Park. There was another rat who lived in, let's just say, the rat projects. Rat crackheads, rat prostitutes, rat drug dealers, rat gangbangers, rat crooked police, Just a whole bunch of negative energy. His mama didn't love him. His daddy didn't love him. Nobody loved rat number 2. But rat number A was living it up. I mean, every morning he said, "Hey Siri, play Bobby Brown and Ja Rule living it up." And that's how he would get his day started. This is documented proof. I don't want to get into the article, but this is pure documented proof. So the scientists, after settling Rat Boy 1 and Rat Boy 2, they gave both rats heroin. Rat A said, "What is this? Heroin? No, I'm good. This ain't hitting for me." Rat Boy B, he loved that shit. He ended up being a junkie, a heroin addict. Rat Boy A never decided to do heroin. So what was the difference between Rat Boy A and Rat Boy B? Well, Rat Boy A had all of the things that provided opioid producers. He had a Rat Boy family. He had a Rat Boy Benz. He had a Rat Boy nice apartment. He had rat balls. He had the little treadmill. It was a deluxe. You can't get a regular treadmill. You got to get a deluxe little roundy thing that they be running on. He had with buttons and shit on it. This is all in the documents if y'all think I'm lying. So essentially, if you have a good life, you won't be addicted to heroin. You won't even, your body, when we talk about GABA, I'll explain that too. Your body, from a positive space, has no reason to want to take opioids. However, when you are depleted, that's the only thing you can think to want to get. And most of our young men and women are depleted of what we call opioid producers, synthesizers, or opioid receptors. So let's get into the conversation. So opioids are broke down into enkephalins, shot, endorphins. I'm good at that one. And there's another one. Enkephalins are our response to terror, severe emotional stress. The amygdala, the hypothalamus, brainstem, stratum, and limbic system secrete specific enkephalins or endorphins or opioids when we are in severe emotional stress. Rat Boy B. I grew up in the projects. I ain't have no car. I used to catch the bus. I used to take. I struggle hard, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad. I ain't gonna get to see because it can be so bad. I don't know if y'all watched The Wire, but think about Dookie. Dookie, mama was on crack. Mama was on heroin. He ended up living with Michael. And then once Michael caught a body, he had to go on a run and left Dookie out there on the streets. And the first thing that Dookie went for was the heroin addict. He didn't want to, but he essentially ended up under the heroin addict and ended up doing heroin. Not because he was a great person and had this great lifestyle, because that shit was hard. He had severe emotional stress. And our children, through these technological devices, having information that they're not prepared for to receive, are suffering severe emotional distress, which would give them the need, the desire, the drive to find who has the perk 10s, who has the perk 30s. Hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, opioids are indigenous and enkephalins and endorphins that are primarily produced in the brain and have multiple actions throughout the body. Enkephalins and endorphins act as opioid receptors and can be blocked by opioid antagonists. So opioid antagonists are the severe emotional stress and or terror, okay, that we might not be experiencing, but we definitely have it within our minds. Like a memory of, like they say trauma, right? Trauma would be an opioid antagonist. Because essentially, when a person does heroin, they feel great. So essentially, when we relax and meditate and tune into ourselves and let Jermaine's fuck ass go, we do not have that severe emotional stress, nor are we able to tune in and tap into this negative energy that is essentially an opioid antagonist. We are opioid protagonists, and we're allowing our natural opioid endorphins and caffeines to be secreted from our parasympathetic nervous system. And essentially, this process ensures that you can continually run away if you are severely injured. So, in reference to the emotional stress to why a person may need heroin is because they feel as though they have gotten their ass bit off by a bear. And maybe they haven't, but essentially, they're not going to be able to move until they find their fix. And so these are a couple of other opiates: corticosteroids. I think I did all right with that. And caffeines. Okay. And essentially, if you're in a space where you're disrupted or distracted or severe emotional stress, your peace of mind is disrupted. Have you ever been in an emotional, stressful situation, like you couldn't pay the bills, and then somebody saying, well, just meditate on it? I can't meditate right now. I got to pay these bills. I pay these bills, then I meditate with your ass. Right now, I'm not meditating. So essentially, when you're not producing the when you somebody has sent me a message, I'm sorry. When you are producing the particular hormones that are helping you, you're not disrupted. When you have that peace, you're able to learn. You're able to tap into your cosmic memory. But in general, we are struggling with this because we imagine ourselves to be severely injured, bitten half to death by a rattlesnake, all types of weird shit. And essentially ain't shit happened to us. So let's talk about the parasympathetic system and what's happening when we activate Kundalini. Well, the first thing that happens is myelination. And this is a particular protection of the cells. We talk about this, of course, in root chakra work, in the Kundalini, oh my goodness, in Chakra Nova, chapter 1. And we're talking about how you must drink water to prepare the body for Kundalini. Essentially, you're preparing the body for this spiritual energy that is at the base of your spine, and you're doing all of the existential work, the outside work, to create the space that will reduce the stress. However, if you're in a space of stress and reading a book but still dealing with stress, you're going to put the book down. You ain't going to give a fuck about the book at the end of the day if you stressed out. Yeah, you bought the book, but part of this conversation is to move you into understanding the desire for Chakra Nova, or to activate, or to awaken, or to present a new hormone within your body. So the preparation is thus myelination. And myelination is a process that goes from the root up. So many people talk about chakras as if it is a pick-me. As if you could just go to a building and teleport to the 4th floor. No, myelination is the fact that we got to walk up steps to get to the 7th floor. If myelination didn't exist, then we would just walk into a building and just be at the top floor. It doesn't work like that. Kundalini awakening is a method that the body uses to promote new growth. Because after myelination finishes, it's harder to change or evolve the nervous system. So we have our stress comes down, our parasympathetic takes over, we resting, relaxing, and we're preparing ourselves for something. You ever feel like, okay, I'm about to lose weight, I'm about to go to the gym, I'm about to do the thing that I need to do. and you feel good about it for 2 or 3 days and find yourself resulting back into your normal shit, this is essentially the lack of myelination because you haven't prepared fully into the process of Kundalini activation, meaning that you thought by reading the book and reading the exercises and not doing the exercises, you skimmed the book, didn't take notes, just read a couple pages. Yeah, this shit ain't, I don't understand it. This shit ain't activate my chakras. I don't know. I'm about to go do 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 do. Hello. Jermaine, what you doing? Thinking about you. What you doing? Fuck out of here. And the last part of the wonderful, wonderful world of the parasympathetic nervous system. Told you this was the meat and bones of the conversation. It's a lot to talk about. Is the enteric brain. The stomach or the enteric brain comprises of 100 million nerves, the esophagus, stomach, and intestines, and many of its structures and chemicals parallel those of the main brain. So your digestion is very important because it allows you to truly think. Being with somebody, being in your sympathetic system, not being able to digest, not being able, like really safe, your body letting you know you're not safe right now. How do you know you're not safe? Because you're not digesting food. You're in fight or flight. And I know that it is people, that it is a perpetual way of being to be afraid. You might have a boyfriend that you're afraid of, and your body is telling you all the time, fear, fear, fear. But you're not in tune with your body. So the gut produces some major neurotransmitters. You may have heard a couple of these. Get your mimosas ready. Dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, nitric oxide. I'll take one on that. And this is a big one. Norepinephrine. I think I did good on that. Both the brain in the skull and the enteric brain originate from a structure called the natural crest, which appears and divides during fetal development. So your brain, your skull, and your stomach, the Holy Trinity, are one unit, then separate as we grow and develop. Very powerful. We have mentioned some neurotransmitters. Let me check this chat out, see if everything is copacetic. Peace to the family. Just wanted to make sure everything was copacetic on y'all end. I don't want to talk to myself. What are neurotransmitters? So we're going to finish this talk out by discussing some neurotransmitters. Then we're going to discuss some hormones. And then we're going to end this conversation. And I'm going to hope that if this information is valuable to you, you're enjoying this conversation, go ahead to like this video, share this video, because it does help with the algorithms we are teaching today. Neurotransmitters are indigenous chemicals that allow neurons to communicate with each other throughout the body. They enable the brain to provide a variety of functions through the process of chemical synaptic transmission. These indigenous chemicals are integral in shaping everyday life and functions, yet we do not talk about them. So let's talk about them. Serotonin. Serotonin calms, elevates pain threshold, promotes sleep, well-being, reduces aggression and compulsive behavior. And all of these actual neurotransmitters are activated through meditation. So if you ever wanted to figure out, why should I meditate? Because it produces serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and GABA. Because norepinephrine or noradrenaline could be a neurotransmitter, or it could be a hormone. But let's just talk about what happens when you meditate to make this conversation a little bit simpler. You produce serotonin. which calms, elevates pain threshold, promotes sleep, well-being, reduces aggression, and compulsive behavior. Dopamine. It increases well-being, alertness, sexual excitement, aggression, reduces compulsive behavior. So in reference to all of the shit that's going on, you being compulsive, you being aggressive, it's because you haven't meditated or activated your parasympathetic nervous system, your non-dominant holistic mind, okay? Norepinephrine or noradrenaline is made from dopamine and increases well-being and reduces compulsivity. So through activating these particular chemicals or neurotransmitters, where you're saying, I cannot get rid of goddamn Jermaine's ass, because you haven't meditated and brought about the chemicals that will assist you in reducing your compulsive behavior. Because if a man or a woman isn't a long-term relationship but a mere compulsion, they're going to create stress in your life, if not from a morally understanding, definitely from a chemical understanding, because we are hardwired and biologically engineered for our greatest success. But when we tune away from that, we are essentially becoming self-destructive. GABA, you can get the supplement of GABA if you want to stop smoking or stop drinking or stop doing the shit that you don't like to do, but it has a particular feeling. GABA is that feeling. So when you smoking or drinking, you're not going to it's not going to hit the same. So if you really want to quit, you take GABA. Because you take GABA for a couple of days and start smoking weed, it's like you smoking paper. You like, God dang, I don't even know what I'm doing. Have me out here smoking herbs. Because it's like, what's the point? I'm not even getting high. So essentially, GABA reduces anxiety, alleviates pain, elevates pain threshold, reduces blood pressure and heart rate, and reduces compulsive behavior. Essentially what weed does. Some other neurotransmitters, if you wanted to do some research and figure out what these things do: glutamate, aspartate, glycine, biogenic amines, ATP, histamine, and prostaglandins. Woo! Now let's talk about my favorite subject of all time: hormones. And so what is happening is that we are producing these things at a high level or a low level, depending on our understanding. The more relaxed we are, the more of the positive hormones that we present, which gives us the energy to understand life. Okay? So what we're going to bring forward with these hormones is a very sexual conversation. We're going to finish this conversation very sexual, right? Because I want you to want to fuck your divinity. I'm tired of you wanting to fuck Jermaine. I'm tired of you being polygamous. I'm tired of you wanting to fuck Susie and Charmaine and Talicia and Geranio and Jermario and Martin and all of these weirdos. Your sexual energy and your sexual hormones essentially are being wasted on people outside of yourself. I want you to understand your hormones and utilize your hormones so you could fuck yourself, but in a good way. You've been fucking yourself in a bad way up until this point. We're going to now fuck ourselves in a good way. So, hormones. Hormones, when you are activating Kundalini, they increase your sexual hormone levels and essentially intensify your Kundalini experience. Kundalini is not Kundalini if you cannot understand your sexual energy. If you imagine that having sex with Jermaine is the ultimate experience of life, you will not have a desire for yourself and your sexual energy or your Kundalini or your goddess within. Everybody want to talk about the goddess within, but don't nobody want to activate it. Kundalini is in fact that goddess within. So essentially, we all have an ability to produce the goddess within, because within my semen and my wife's ovaries and her egg cells, when the semen and egg cells get together, they create a new life. That is my goddess force energy, my wife's goddess force energy coming together to create a new life. Essentially, we take these same hormones And we don't create a baby, but we have a spiritual rebirth. We understand that we are the goddess. We understand that we are the God. We take our spiritual and divinity and we fuck it. I'm only using this language because if I was talking about anything other thing, you wouldn't have a desire for your divinity. What you have a desire for are the things that you want to fuck and have sex with and toss they salad and things of that nature. So I want you to toss your Kundalini salad. I want you to have a deep desire for your spiritual truth over some lame ass nigga that you met at the club on Instagram who ain't really about shit. He ain't about this spiritual shit, I tell you that. He will fuck you and have you looking stupid out here in these streets. But you want him so bad. Why do you want to be out here looking stupid? Why do you want to be a sexual object so bad? Obviously, you don't have the information or knowledge to intern your energy or understand the value of when you fuck yourself, you're getting a real life orgasm called enlightenment. So let's talk about the main ingredient to fucking yourself. I'm serious. Testosterone essentially is the main ingredient. Give me 1 second. Testosterone is the main ingredient for I seen some baddies walking down the street. They had on some goddamn woke regalia, but there was a little hood with it. My type. They had on the cowrie shells and the dreads, and they had the smiles, and they said, "Peace, King." Guess what happened? My testosterone went phew. I said, "Peace, Queen. My name is Hood Mystic. Here's my card. What you doing in the city? Is you around?" I'm like, "Who's this nigga? This nigga different." That's my testosterone coming online. Like, "Peace, King." That's all you had to say to me. Peace. What we doing? What you talking about, Peace, King? You love me? You want to be taking it too far? Okay, I'm sorry. So essentially, testosterone is the energy that men and women have where we over analyze what's about to happen, mainly because our bodies are hardwired to procreate. And essentially, if we know that, we redirect our energy internally. Because unless you want to have a child, I got 4 already. I don't want another child, fam. So essentially, I'm not at this moment, not today, but essentially utilizing the same energy that I've created 4 gods with. I'm now using it to restore who I am as dad, right? Because if I gave my children all of my energy, I would just die out and cease to exist. So it's very important that same energy that I've utilized to create life, I need to utilize it to create a rebirth within myself. Testosterone stimulates dopamine and it stimulates noradrenaline or norepinephrine and serotonin. And essentially, once the testosterone, she says, "Peace, King. Peace, Queen. We should exchange numbers. And so we texting, "What's your favorite song?" "I like Oshun." "You like Oshun too?" "Oh my God, I had never met no many men that listen to Oshun." It's a Oshun concert coming in Detroit. They're going to be at the Aretha. Franklin, we gotta go. And so I take her to the Oshun concert. They sing all of our songs and we singing them together. And we looking at each other. We giving each other Google eyes. We like the same music, y'all. Then we move into the realms of oxytocin, vasopressin. That means we are attached. Why are y'all attached? Well, she has dreads. That's my shit. I love locks. She had the cowrie shell chain. I'm a cowrie shell type of dude. And she had that badow. That wasn't enough though. We like the same type of music. So how could I? It must be love, right? Essentially, making a bad decision, because in reference to all of the shit that has happened between me and this young lady has been a chemical expression for which we haven't had a conversation towards. Testosterone is very active and high in puberty, when you're in love, and when you are exercising, when you are at war, or before an action, or before you use your mind and work with others. Testosterone is a powerful chemical. However, if you do not have a specific understanding outside of random innuendos and not having real conversations and real communications between one another, you essentially are waiting for the testosterone to morphosize into estrogen, where now you hate me, or you're trying to wait for that testosterone to stimulate the dopamine, the oxytocin, and the vasopressin so we could be attached. And essentially, you will not have a long-term relationship if these things don't play out in this particular order. It might it would be very hard for me to understand a relationship that it exists, that is positive, that is flourishing, and there is no chemical attachments. There is no communication non-verbally and spiritually between mother, woman, and child. I find that to be hard to I wouldn't believe that. So when people tell me, "Oh, I just had sex. It was just sex," or "I'm just emotionally mature," or you're just not poly. No, I'm not talking about the moral obligations between having sex, because I'm not even moralistic. I'm talking about the chemical reaction that is taking place that we do not have a conversation about. Do not defend your moral beliefs in reference to scientific information, because in reference to your moral, I said emotions and thinkings and feelings support your biases. They do not present a conversation for us to learn. So, Kundalini, because we're not trying to have sex with Susie. We're attempting to have sex with our divine beingness. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate the donation. Kundalini is usually accompanied by a strong sexual urge or a strong sexual energy, but we do not have that. You want to fuck your girlfriend more than you want to fuck yourself. And when you want to fuck yourself, you want to play with your little clit or jerk off. Strong sexual energy is the same as taking her out to dates, taking her out to eat, very much nurturing and keeping your energy as sacred, because it is. A very simple understanding to bring your hormones in balance is tuning into Mercury, your crown chakra, or your pituitary gland, and just simply meditating on these things. Why? Because your pituitary gland is your master gland. And if you are thinking with your lower self, you're not thinking with your higher self. Very simple. Myelination comes from the root up, but we begin to send the information from our medulla oblongata down. Hey, we are attempting to do something different here. We are attempting to really tune in and tap into our spiritual understanding. I feel as though I'm psychic. I feel as though I have spiritual gifts, but now I'm going to take it seriously. And so I'm going to meditate on my pituitary gland. Look it up online. Find where the pituitary gland is. See where it's at in your mind and put your focus and awareness to it. Simple enough, but in reference to all of the shit that I've discussed in this presentation has already happened. We're talking about the autonomic nervous system, meaning that it is automatic, meaning that you're going to suppress or secrete emotions and hormones and all of these things without no book, no journal. You'll do it naturally. You'll have a vicarious, natural understanding to just simply be hormonal in a positive sense, or simply heal yourself, or simply to have a deep spiritual relationship with yourself, and have the conversations in reference to the fact of your spirituality speaking to you without you feeling crazy. Because you only feel crazy when Jermaine don't respond back to your text. When you talk to yourself and yourself don't talk back, you don't feel crazy about that. And honestly, you have an energy within you that is so vibrant and so awakened and so much communicative that you only care about if Jermaine texts your ass or not. And that's very sad. So a very simple solution, as we talk about these hormones a little late, like the next thing that I'm going to talk about in reference to testosterone, is estrogen, where we need to understand that our testosterone produces estrogen, and estrogen is not active in Kundalini. Estrogen is active in our ability to produce a child. Okay, so simply, a lot of people will talk about estrogen, and well, let me just say, a lot of men suffer from producing too much estrogen. But essentially, you produce too much estrogen because you have too much testosterone. So I'm saying words, and maybe you might need a picture to explain it. Let me see if I can show y'all something. I'm about to log into my Hotmail real quick. I don't know if I said it in this video, but it was definitely a video that I said. And I was saying how I was super, no, I said it in my live this morning on IG. So this is a picture of me in prison. Remember when on my live, I didn't get to this actual part during my live, but when I went to prison, I couldn't do one push-up. I was weak. And I was about 350 pounds. So I was fat and I was weak. However, the reason that I was weak is because the testosterone that I have, it wasn't converted into muscle mass. It wasn't converted into strength. It just turned into fat. And it turned into emotions. It turned into sadness. It turned into depression. And it produced the cortisol, which produced the actual physical representation of my sadness, of my confusion. However, if you, like, say for instance, you don't have a masculine energy in your life that is giving you that testosterone transfer, because we don't grow through instructions, we grow through osmosis, meaning that your mom can tell you don't smoke cigarettes, but if she smokes cigarettes, guess what you find yourself doing when you turn 16? She told you every day don't smoke cigarettes. You even told yourself, I ain't gonna never smoke cigarettes like my mom. Look at your ass. Can I get a pack of Newport 100s in a box, looking ass boy? Why is that? Because you learn through osmosis. So essentially, this testosterone wasn't utilized. I didn't know that I could utilize it to be strong and to grow and to do all of these things. So essentially, it turned me into a fat boy. But as I was saying earlier, I'm back at the gym and I'm realizing that I have to convert my testosterone and this estrogen into more testosterone. And it not only does it make me more active in my life, makes me want to do more content, makes me want to share, makes me stronger, makes me happy, makes me more spiritual. It does a whole variety of things. However, it's pure testosterone. And you want to use up all of your testosterone to the point that at the end of the day, you're somewhat tired and exhausted, so you can sleep, rest, recuperate, and start off the next day supercharged up. But if we wake up and be in our phones, start calling Jermaine, you call Jermaine, his girlfriend or his wife answer the phone, like, could you please stop calling Jermaine's phone? I'm tired of you stalking my damn husband. Now you feel worse than you did before you called them, right? So Jermaine's ass doing a whole working on your ass, and you ain't even got out the bed. You ain't even stuck one foot out the bed. You done had a whole worse work of estrogen produced in your life, to the fact that when we talk about spiritual workings and spiritual life, who gives a fuck? What's wrong, sis? What's wrong, bro? Jermaine broke my heart. Charmaine broke my heart. So you don't wanna awaken the goddess within? No, I'm not really interested in that right now. I'm just not into it. Well, when I was doing the YouTube video, you signed up for the class. You was so excited about it. What happened between now and then? Nothing. I don't want to talk about it. What is that? That's estrogen. The female sex hormone, and one that teenage girls know all too well, is responsible for setting off puberty. Produced primarily in your ovaries, estrogen regulates your menstrual cycle, maintains pregnancy, and keeps bones strong for women and men too. So essentially, it's doing all of these things for feminine health. And essentially, we men don't produce, we obviously don't have ovaries. So in order for a man to have estrogen, he would have to have testosterone that hasn't been used. So essentially, estrogen in men is like spoiled milk, in reference to the milk that we should have been drinking to get strong. And for women, unless you're having a baby, unless you're going through your menstrual cycle, it's good to use testosterone too. Because essentially, we're not trying to shoot our shot and get a boyfriend. We're trying to save ourselves. We're trying to awaken the goddess within. And from my understanding, you do not get to a place of true understanding of spirituality until you understand your hormonal or your stress responses. Because sometimes you can be very harmful based upon what happens to you when you are stressed. Some might view me as a safe space, or the opposite of being stressed, meaning that I'm not getting their true energy or emotion. So it's very important for me, because I deal with people a lot, that I begin to understand how people truly are from an emotional, hormonal sense. So I won't never think that a person is really my friend or really fucks with me because they say it. Essentially, understanding this, is this person active in their actual words, to which they're willing to use their testosterone, burn their testosterone up on something harmonious? Or are they simply saying, Kyrie, I like you, you're great, I love your videos, so I'm going to be the passive friend as you do all the work? Because men, estrogen is made from testosterone. If you are a man that wants to exercise some of this estrogen within your being, get you some saw palmetto and some nettle and some red raspberry leaf. Now, these are feminine teas and feminine herbs. However, for men, they have the opposite effects. Black cohosh root as well. It will help you from releasing the estrogen and bring out your testosterone. And essentially, y'all can sue me if I'm wrong, but I think it does the same thing for women, because I really do feel like unless you're in a passive state where you're just relaxing and not trying to do shit, estrogen is really a very powerful emotion for the endocrine system to help you deliver a child, to help you process your menstruation. But just regular everyday activities, it seems to be a lot of confusing energy. But if you were to do the things such as steam, such as take the nettle leaf, red raspberry leaf, what you will begin to see is a change in how you feel and think and process things, because the estrogen, which causes us to be emotional. So why is it a problem to be emotional? Because it has nothing to do with the goal. I'm here referencing a goal. I'm here referencing Kundalini activation, and the person will tell me, well, Hood, I don't feel like it. Has nothing to do. You think I feel like doing this shit? Think about it. I don't feel like it. It's what I have to do. Everything that has been said, every work that I've been done to prepare for this video, do this video, execute this video, publish this video, has been something that I had to do. Never did I think about what I liked about this process. In reference, I've been putting this actual shit off because I did not want to do this hard study of learning the different hormones and what is a neurotransmitter and put all of this shit in one place so my people can understand this shit. I didn't want to do it. I had to. It's a difference. I need people around me that have to tap into their divinity. They have to. They don't have to be my friend. I don't care who has to be nobody has to be my friend. You have to find the goddess within you and raise your Kundalini. That is your salvation. And what I've laid out is why it is your salvation. Estrogen is one of the sex hormones that is necessary for proper female productive functioning, as well as development of secondary female characteristics like breasts, less facial hair than men, etc. So if you are a full-grown woman and not going through puberty and you're not trying to get bigger and better and, that type of energy, then simply let it go and tune into other sex hormones to find self. Oxytocin. This is where we fall in love. This is where we begin to attach. Cupid's arrow is dipped in this stuff. Dubbed the love hormone, oxytocin levels rise when we make physical contact with another human. It's also the maternal hormone because a large amount of it are released during childbirth and helps with milk letdown during lactation. So every time that you have sex with somebody, you release oxytocin. Now, you morally may not like this person. You may mentally not love this person, but at a hormonal level, your body is producing the same hormones, maybe even to a greater degree of when you were to have sex with your husband. Even deeper, if you were to have sex with your husband, you're not going to produce the amount of oxytocin that you would if you had sex with a stranger. It's just too exciting. It's so fucking amazing to just fucking see somebody at a club and just end up in their apartment and have fun like that. And not think about the future and none of that shit. And generally, why a person may do it is because of the chemical that is being released, oxytocin, where we feel love, but essentially, if it's not with the person that we truly love, we are fucked up and confused about the whole situation. So oxytocin gets released into the bloodstream when we are suckling, during childbirth, and high stressful situations, i.e., kicking it with lame ass Jermaine. Compassionate and generous, caring action. Essentially, if you didn't have oxytocin, you would not care about Jermaine's ass. He'd just be another dusty boy playing goddamn Fortnite with his homeboys. So this is a very important part. This is where most of my people is at, producing cortisol, because most of us are stressed out. And because we are stressed out, we do not want to activate Kundalini. We don't want to read Chakra Nova. We don't give a fuck about our chakras. Why? Because the pervading feeling and energy is stress. And because we are stressed out, we are responding hormonally to our stress. The main hormone that is released during our stress is the hormone called cortisol. And it is increasing the heart rate, increasing the blood pressure, increasing the blood glucose, increasing the muscle tension. So when I give you a hug and I feel your back, it feels like you did 150 pull-ups before you came and gave me a hug. Why is your back so tight, sis? It also temporarily shuts down the body systems that aren't needed in the face of crisis, such as digestion. It's not a good thing that you're not taking the shit around Jermaine's ass when you go over there for the weekend. That's not good. That means that yo internally is telling you something that is shutting down your digestion and shooting down your reproduction of positive hormones and neurotransmitters. Essentially, when cortisol is released because you are stressed, immune function down, glucose high, your body fat, fat, you're fat, I'm fat because of cortisol. It's just the facts, fat facts. I don't know why fat facts was so funny to me, but man, cortisol is our stress hormone. It is really like I'm telling you, this is how I was from 2003 to 2011. I was at the gym feeling great about life. I was untouchable. I was getting girls after girls. I was hitting the club with my Haitian boys. I felt like life couldn't have been better. And then somebody called me early one morning, March 3rd, and told me that my high school sweetheart had died. I stopped working like I didn't care. What was the point of working out? What was the point of being happy when you could just die, right? Essentially, I hit a block, I hit a wall, and I was stressed. And because I didn't have any support through my stress, I figured out how to emotionally eat again, which was, like I said, before I went to prison, I was 350. So I knew all about emotionally eating when I was sad. Because I've learned that from observing my mom and not having a masculine energy in the house to observe, okay, what do men do when they're stressed out? I had no idea. So I just did what my mom did. I just ate. So stress hormones are released when we need to generate energy during times of stress, along with other hormones. Things such as epinephrine or norepinephrine that constitute the fight or flight response are released to a perceived threat. What is that perceived threat? Big bear, woolly mammoth, and a saber tooth tiger is on my ass. But really, it's Jermaine. Following the stressful or threatening event, epinephrine and norepinephrine and noradrenaline levels are returned to normal, while cortisol levels can remain elevated for a longer time period. In fact, cortisol levels can remain persistently elevated in the body when a person is subjected to chronic stress, ladies and gentlemen. And with that being said, I'm going to end my transmission based upon the things that I've needed to say this morning and the things that I wanted to say this morning and the fact that I got it all out. So I'm very free and loose and happy right now that I was able to have a goal and see that goal out. It seems as though people have been enjoying and tuning into the message and people come and go. And I know this was a long live stream, but for those who rode with me, thank you. And hopefully you know what to do in reference to how to move closer to your Kundalini understanding is to relax, take some chill pills, get Chakra Nova, read it, take notes, understand the Kundalini yoga and what it's going to do, begin to practice, do things in reference to activating your spiritual self and spiritual life, and stop fucking these weird little boys who all they do is play Call of Duty, Fortnite, eat buffalo wings, drink Hennessy, and don't mean you no good. So please catch this video. Please tune into it, tap into it, and share to the family. And thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all on the flip side, man. Peace.